The closest sale price in the acres since 2022 and all of this year, there's a small subdivision, there was 5 units sold, was $495, and that was next to my home. Had an apartment. So what the really cool thing about this house is it's a mother-daughter thing. So this talks a little bit about where the market is migrating and these multi-generational homes, and that's what our buyer is, my buyer.
For affordability.
For affordability.
Yeah.
That's literally what happened.
Yeah.
Mother sold a house in Florida, has a little bit of cash, not that much cash, right? We're trying to make a play to go ahead and get it. We have multiple offers on that already.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
$200,000 over the closest sale in my neighborhood, and I'm loving it because it's right next to me.
Yeah.
And we got multiple offers on it, and we have to be super competitive, and we may or may not win the day, but again, I don't want to go into too many details.
But this is a great talking point.
It's a great
talking point.
How it
impacts comps, how it impacts the neighbors, how it impacts his taxes. I mean,
but
so many talking points.
We would not be having this multiple comp situation, in my opinion, if it didn't have a full apartment in the basement.
Right.
So this is a true example of a mother-daughter scenario. So I've been there since '87. You've been there your whole life. So what do you think? Is this surprising to you?
It is. That surprises me when the other house, the waterfront, came on at over $1 million.
Yep.
That was shocking because when I first started selling there, if you got a waterfront that was $500,000, it was like, oh my gosh, that's so expensive. Anymore, it's not there. You know, things have climbed. The waterfronts have gotten more impressive. Some of them have been bought for lower and torn down, and they've built new ones. And so you were saying about life-changing. You better be careful with Mrs. Smith because she now knows that price, and I know she would rather maybe move, and you don't want to.
So that's number 2.
That's a fantastic price. That's a fantastic asking.
Yeah. So actually, the reality of it is, you know,
we got to think it's going to close, and we can only say so much here.
Right.
But we got to think it's going to close relatively darn close to ask, if not at ask or slightly higher. If it's a multiple offer this close to being active.
So it's interesting. So this is going to go into one of the 2 things I want to really take a dive into is talk about this pass and fail, and for informational purposes only for home inspections and appraisal gaps.
Right.
But I can tell you, I mean, you would have a hard time appraising this. I can't go into details.
Why would it be a hard time appraising if there's a fully finished apartment?
Because the comps
don't support it.
Don't support it, right?
Okay.
So what's going to happen, and this is what we're finding in Richmond, right, in weeks. So homes that are sold multiple digits over list are now closing, which is now increasing the appraised values, which is then increasing the sales price. So once this closes, obviously we have a new comp to go against. But yeah, right now, you know, if you were to take a look at it, you would have to compare it against waterfront, and it's not a waterfront.
Right.
No, and it does have some really amazing features, though. And I have not done any research on this property at all. Well, but it also, some of the things I think people sometimes forget, if I'm reading this right, it has a first floor primary bedroom. Yes?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's big time.
That is huge. Yeah. That's a big deal. And I don't know about all of y'all, but I do feel like the general consensus is that buyers, as a general rule, instead of wanting to do the stepping stone process of buying, they're wanting to get something right now that has a first floor primary suite.
Yes.
Because they want to plan for the future, and everybody's trying to. And sometimes it's not just their future. Sometimes it's they plan on having a family member that they're going to need to move in. So you have a huge age range, which is most of the ages, that would prefer a first floor primary.
Yes.
And a lot of times people, I was looking at some of my old videos at the beginning of like COVID life.
By the way, Lake Monticello just went to 8.
Okay.
Just went to 8.
Down. So,
sorry about that.
No, you're good. This is what we do. But one of my videos, I remember discussing how in one of the walkthroughs I was giving is there was a room that was separate from the kitchen and the living space, but was not technically a bedroom, and yet what would traditionally have been a half bath on the primary floor, on the main floor, had been converted to a shower with, not like a full safety shower, but a shower with a little seated area, some of the things that might be helpful, because their plan had been, before they were selling, to use that front room as a bedroom as needed for family members to move in. So a lot of times finding creative ways to make that happen. But in this case, it's already there, and you have the apartment downstairs.
I mean, it's big time. It's great.
And how does that work with Lake Monticello, though? Because it's not, it can't be a short stay.
No. So this is a mother-daughter. It has to be a mother.
No, but I mean,
Well,
it has to be a family member.
You cannot have an unrelated family member or unrelated party living in your home.
Right.
It's against
according to HOA.
No, totally. Right. And how does that work? So right now, I have 3 people who I call my children, and technically only one of them is.
But that's different. You're taking them in. So this would be you could not to add context to that individual home.
He's talking about income producing.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I
but
couldn't
even
rent
if they
it and rent it to Donna.
It would need to be like an unofficial kind of thing.
Yeah. And it all depends on how nasty your neighbors are.
Right.
And I would be your neighbor, by the way. Just so you know.
Let's get Donna's take to end this sizzle reel here.
No.
What does Donna Patton think about $699K list at the acres in Lake Monticello? And Keith just highlighted 8 active listings right now in a 4,300 plus unit development.
We started at 10 about an hour ago.
When the show started. So what are your thoughts on this listing?
It's a beautiful listing. It is surprising that it is so high, but again, it's a 2-family, not really 2-family, but extended family house. And those are sought after. There are so many people right now that they want their own space, and they cannot afford to buy their own house. And so they go in with a parent or a brother or a sister or whatever, and they get a house that has 2 living spaces so they can be private and still share the cost.